Atomfall is the latest game from Rebellion, mostly known for their recent work with the Sniper Elite franchise. Set in the north of England, this is an interesting title, putting a lot of emphasis on exploration. This is fully on display, with its freeform quest system and skill progression systems, altogether making quite a unique gameplay experience. Before we get into it though, a quick thing to note right off the bat. This is not a long title. It took me around 14 hours to complete, and I tried to do absolutely everything. Some people are reporting 20 hours, so your mileage may vary on this. For me, it was a welcome relief with all these long titles I've been playing recently, and I know some people also prefer shorter experiences. It does still unfortunately come in at quite a high price tag. I had a good time with this one though, so you will have to decide if this is worth it or not for you in your current financial situation. With all that in mind, all the footage I will show will be mostly from the first hour of the game to prevent any spoilers. The game opens up with you in a mysterious bunker, woken up by a stranger scientist in a hazmat suit. He provides some basic information and a keycard telling you that you need to find the interchange. Knowing little to nothing about it, you are sent into the world. This is the first time you will see the quarantine zone. Upon entering the zone, you will receive vague information about the interchange and its classified government secrets, including a mysterious secret titled Oberon. It's up to you to go searching through old bunkers, military bases, and talk to the local factions to figure out what is going on and how to escape. That's all of the story I'm going to tell you, as discovery is the main part of this game and I don't want to ruin anything more. Atomfall is a pretty unique title in the way it operates. I've seen a lot of comparisons calling this the British Fallout, and frankly, that's not what I would compare it to at all. It's far different from that, and a very different style of game. If you go into the game expecting a Fallout clone, then you're going to be disappointed, and it's not really fair on Atomfall to do so. Instead, it focuses more on the narrative element, and not so much on the RPG elements. I'm going to start this off by talking about the world, as it's a key part of the game, with exploration being promoted above all else when it comes to gameplay. Atomfall takes place in the north of England, in an alternative history timeline following the events of the Windscale nuclear disaster. 5 years after the disaster is when you awake, and you join the rest of the survivors living in the zone. This is not the common barren wasteland seen in other post-apocalyptic games. Instead, it's a very vibrant look at the British countryside, with nature starting to reclaim the ruins. There are still plenty of people inhabiting the zones as well, most of them belonging to the three dominant factions inhabiting the map. These are the Outlaws, who are your run-of-the-mill bandits, the Druids, who hear whispers in the soil and want to commune with nature, and the Protocol Soldiers, who are the British military sent into the zone to restore order. There are also non-aligned civilians and traders you will also meet along the way. The quarantine zone is made up of 5 main areas, with each faction getting their own zone. There is the starting zone of Slatindale, which is mostly inhabited by bandits, Casterfell Woods, which is the main zone for the Druids, Wyndham Village, which is the only civilian settlement left in the game. This is being controlled and protected by the Protocol Soldiers, and Skevermore, which is fully controlled by Protocol and the location for their military bases. The final major location is the interchange itself, which is full of surprises waiting for you to discover yourself. These zones also have small caves and trails connecting them all together, with areas to explore and clues to find in between. The maps themselves are beautifully crafted, capturing the vibrant landscape of the Lake District. With tons of hidden areas to discover and bunkers to explore, I found it very easy to get sucked in. Where the world design was at its peak for me was when I was exploring the caves, bunkers and smaller instanced areas. The radiation shows itself in this luminous blue fungus you can see spreading across the zones. When in these small areas, the environments become eerie, provoking a sense of high tension and creating a horror-esque feeling when exploring the unknown. It's not as scary as a horror game, nor does it try to jump scare you, but it's easy to get caught up in the atmosphere. They also add small environmental hazards here or there to create small puzzles on how to navigate these areas. With the world discussed, let's move on to talk about gameplay. Every aspect of Atomfall's gameplay can be altered by the modular difficulty system. It provides you with 5 difficulties at the start of the game, which can be changed at any point. The standard difficulty being Survivor, and that's the one I also played on. The key differences between them all being mainly how many enemies spawn and the rarity of loot. You can change the difficulty at any point, but more importantly, you can go and create a custom difficulty to whatever suits you. Here you can change quite a lot, from adding more clues all the way to direct waypoints to your objectives for players that don't like the investigation part of the game. You can also, of course, change the difficulty of combat if you are struggling. This way, each player can cater it to the way they want to play. I tested these features, but for 99% of the game I kept it on Survivor and felt it an optimal way to experience the title. In Atomfall there is no questing system, instead opting for a free-flowing story system. The game gives you the basic aim at the start of the game and sends you on your way. How do you get there? Well, that's up to you. Find the interchange is how the game starts, but it does not give you more than that. Instead, you will have to explore the zone and locate all this information for yourself. There are no missions or no quests to complete. The story will just keep pushing the narrative on as you continue to explore. This is the primary appeal of the gameplay. It does this by giving the player freedom to go anywhere, leaving breadcrumbs of notes and NPCs to talk to and uncover information from along the way. All the zones are explorable from the start, with nothing off limits as long as you know how to get there and how to get in. There is no set order on how the story will unfold, depending purely on what actions you take first. It's possible to complete most of the overworld tasks and resolve most of your leads before you even step foot in the interchange. Or you can go straight into the interchange and progress that without exploring the different zones. If you knew where everything you need was, that is. This goes on with all the side events as well. The order you resolve these in may be completely different to what your friend will do. It's also worth noting that you can make friends or enemies with different factions, making certain places easier or more difficult to explore, depending on your previous actions. I found it a bit too easy to please all factions though, as they seem a little bit more forgiving than they should be, which was a little bit disappointing. The game puts a lot of focus on exploration and discovery, and it does it incredibly well, providing the player with a lot of intriguing places to explore, with the notes acting as a sort of carrot on a stick, enticing you to try and discover what each note is talking about. While exploring, you will uncover new locations, new side stories, materials, and collectibles. Eventually, you'll also get a signal redirector and a metal detector, the first being a device to allow you to redirect the flow of electricity, allowing you to get to places otherwise out of your reach, and mess with turrets as well. The metal detector is a key tool to exploration, letting you dig up buried caches of loot and notes, and also allowing you to find more collectibles buried underground. A part of the game that I found oddly satisfying, and I'm waiting for the inevitable Metal Detector Simulator indie title to appear on Steam. The only place the exploration fell a little flat to me was down to the inventory system. You have very limited inventory space, which seems to fill very quickly. To combat this, there is a place you can bank your items and access them for places around the map. Even with this being the case though, it felt to be a burden. The part of the inventory system that was most frustrating was the material storage. You gather materials as you explore to allow you to craft items like bandages, DIY grenades, and tonics for status effects. The main issue was I crafted so little as I didn't need to, and my material storage was always full, meaning leaving loot behind and making most of the stuff I looked at worthless. Luckily, the collectibles and notes make exploration worthwhile even when not scavenging. Training stimulants can also be found all over the world. These are basically skill points. There is no XP or leveling system in Atomfall, instead getting all your skill points from exploring. You start with the ability to unlock a small amount of skills, with more skills appearing as you find training manuals. These are also found via exploring or trading with NPCs. Are you seeing a theme here? Exploration is the key to progression in all things with this game. The skill system is not very deep and most skills are very basic, with options like increased melee damage, small increase to material storage, or reduced gun recoil. There are more specific skills, like ones that allow you to disarm traps for example, but overall I didn't find these skills to be that interesting. The main one to pick up is one that allows you to upgrade your weapons. This is because as you're exploring, you will find many weapons, mostly in a rusty condition. There are 3 conditions in this game, altogether being rusty, stock, and pristine. Pristine only being obtainable via this upgrade perk. Every time the condition gets higher, all stats for the weapons are increased. When you get 2 of the same weapon with the same quality, you can combine them together to make one of the next higher quality tier. This leads me nicely to talking about combat. The combat of Atomfall is uninspired and the weakest part of the game. That's not to say I hated it, it's just very basic and something I expected to be better coming from the Sniper Elite franchise. You can do both melee and range combat in Atomfall, and will likely have to utilise these both to survive. Melee combat comprises a light attack, a heavy attack, and a kick. There is no ability to block, and it all feels very loose as the enemies don't always react to your hits. The gunplay feels okay, with a good selection of guns to find. There is no gun customization sadly, and the stats of the weapons are incredibly basic. Saying things like good damage, slow rate of fire, but providing 0 stats to back it up. It's also misleading as the damage rating seems to be for that weapon type. I found that an excellent damage one-handed weapon did less damage than a very high two-handed weapon for example. There is nothing to show this apart from trial and error. There is a decent selection of enemies which helps keep it fresh. starting with your standard human adversaries who will fight you in both melee and ranged combat. Robots, which will be carrying a variety of weapons with different machines having different weak spots. Various mutated horrors and fauna, each at risk of infecting you. And finally, there are these swarming enemies like rats, leeches and birds, which you will have to bat away to stop yourself from getting overrun. Combat isn't the focus of the game, but it's something you'll need to be engaging with frequently. It does still feel satisfying enough that I didn't get bored with it with the 14 hours I spent with the game, but I do hope it's something they can develop should they keep updating the game or decide to make a sequel. As for the technical state of the game, it runs great. I was getting into the 100 FPS with a 4090 on max settings at native 4K, with the minimum specs scaling all the way down to a 2060. As always, I've included a link to the Digital Foundry technical analysis of this game, for the people who want a deeper look into the tech details, as those guys really do great work. Graphically, I personally like the look of this game. It has a very vibrant colour palette and is really authentic at showing off the art style seen in other Rebellion titles. This also comes down to personal taste though, so at the end of the day it's up to you to rate yourself. There is a bit of an anti-aliasing issue on PC, where it does not look to be applying correctly, leading you to have more jagged edges than I would generally like. This does not bother me that much as I did get used to it, but your mileage may vary with this one. For Steam Deck users out there, this is verified and I was able to test it myself. I'm happy to say it works flawlessly. It's actually a great way to play this title. And for the ultra-wide users out there, I'm happy to report that it does support 21:9 and 32:9 with no issues. It's time for my closing thoughts, so should you pick up Atomfall? I had a great time with this, and the sense of freedom was quite refreshing for me. While the combat was nothing special, the story and discovery kept me engaged the whole way through. If the story seems interesting to you and you like getting lost in the world, then this is a great pickup. The only issue I could see some people having is the price of the game when compared with its length. For me, 14 hours was a refreshing experience, but I didn't go in expecting much more. The value proposition is going to be your decision, but if the game length is not a massive factor, or maybe you prefer shorter games, then I would recommend this. For those on the fence, I would say wait for a sale. It is worth noting, for Xbox players and PC players, this game is also available on Game Pass. Right, that wraps up another review. If you like the video, then hit that like button. If you want to hear more of my ramblings, please hit the subscribe button, as this really helps me out. If you have any thoughts on Atomfall, or wish to leave me any feedback, please leave a comment below and I will be sure to read them all. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.